Hi, AT from CNC at Home. Recently at Buck Frenzy, I happened to win the first game of Gorilla Beats the Man and got to go to the prize bin first. In the prize bin, there were knives galore. They were all sorts of knives. So that was basically what I was going to choose. I narrowed it down to 3 and with some determination got it narrowed down to 1, and this is the one. It had a smooth handle, nothing engraved on it. I wanted to throw it in the laser. I didn't have but the one knife, so I didn't have any parameters and nothing to test on, so I had to guess. I started with my red acrylic settings that I had determined for engraving, and as we can see, it's working pretty darn good. So I went into Lightburn and just typed in Buck Frenzy with a fancy font, made sure that the laser was focused on the knife handle, made sure the knife was square with the laser, did a bunch of testing, framing, make sure it was all in the right spot, and started the burn. And I was very pleasantly surprised with the quality of the etch that it was doing. It wasn't very deep, it was very clear, so this was exactly what I needed to do. This is something that I can show off to the rest of the people from the Buck Frenzy group, and hopefully they'll all be oohs and ahs and they'll want their knives etched as well. As we can see, this turned out really well. So well, in fact, that I wanted to do it on the other side. I wanted to commemorate our 10th time doing Buck Frenzy. On the other side of the knife, I have a clean slate. I did a quick frame once everything was squared up. And it's just going to be a simple thing that says 10 years. And I did make a slight setting change. I upped the power of the laser from 25% to 35%. Turns out it really didn't make much of a difference with that higher power. So, but it was an experiment, something to try. It turned out really well. This will be a nice keepsake in memory of this past year's Buck Frenzy. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content of our channel, think about subscribing. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects. And don't be afraid to experiment. That's what this was. An experiment. Put the knife in, tried some settings, I got lucky and they worked. If it didn't, it wasn't a great loss. It's not a real expensive knife, and nobody's really going to see it but me for the most part. So if it got ruined, the blade still cuts. Anyway, like I said, enjoy your CNC at home projects.
Oops.
And now for a bonus knife etching. You can't see it right now. I have a knife hiding behind the gantry of my LC50 Plus Genmitsu laser. It's a knife that I had gotten last year at Buck Frenzy, and somebody suggested that I engrave on it. It has a black coating on it, and I should be able to burn that off. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I don't have any other material to test on, so my first burn is going to be my test. Hopefully if I keep things squared up properly and don't bump into the knife, anything like that, I should be able to get a second try if I need to reburn the area. Because the height of the knife and the height of the laser interfere with each other, I'm going to tell the gantry to come over here first and then move up to the knife so that it doesn't come across the handle of the knife and bump it out of position. So that's what I'm going to do now. Make sure that I'm plenty far over so I don't bump the handle. Whew, and you can see how close that is to the knife blade. I'm going to go ahead and swing up our protective shield so that the camera can get a better look at what it's going to do. What I'm planning on doing is we have an area here that's approximately 13 millimeters high by 75 millimeters long, nice flat rectangular area. That's where I'm hoping to engrave. So why don't I do this? I'm going to get the camera refocused and zoom in on here so that we can see what's going on a little bit better. This should give you a better idea of what's going on. So what I want to do is position the laser over here in its starting corner, and then I will adjust light burn so that my cutting area will be right in that. So that's what I'll be doing next. This is where I have to be careful, because if I come over too far this way, which I'm getting very close, I'm going to hit the handle and move the knife. So I'm going to go into an incremental move now so that I'm moving a 0.5 millimeter at a time. And I'll move it just a little bit, and I'll come over and check it. I've got a couple more millimeters I can go. Ooh. Boy, I maybe could go a little bit more, but I don't want to risk it. So that's all the further I'm going to go back in this direction. I do need to move this way, so I'll get that moved up here a little bit. And let's do a test fire. All right, I might be a little high. Let's come down a little bit. And I'm going to then perform a frame, and we'll see if the laser dot stays on the knife when I do this. Okay, yep, I messed that up. I forgot to adjust where my burn was going to be. So let's start over. I won't bore you with this. I'll get it all set up again. Hang on. Here's kind of one of my sneaky ways of squaring stuff, as I use the gantry beam itself, and I look down at it and I manually move to see if it lines up. Boy, I got lucky. That's pretty square with the beam. I do have to rehome again once I do that. Not a problem. Now, this time, don't forget, I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to move it within light burn so that the lower left-hand corner of my project is where the laser beam or the laser dot currently is. Now I can do a frame, and it should do what we're hoping. Cross fingers. Well, for crying out loud. I'm tempted to switch this to local coordinates. I'm going to keep having issues like that. Okay, so I'm re-zeroing the laser. All right, switch this. Current position. And we'll do a frame. Hold your breath. Whew, that's just where it needs to be. Okay, well, nothing like the present to do this. I'm again guessing, just a wild guess at my burn parameters. I'm using some parameters that I had calculated when I was burning a tumbler. It's going to be a similar kind of thing, hopefully. All right, I guess I'm going to start. Whew. Well, it's doing something, but not nearly what I thought it would. I may have to clean this off to see. But it is etching through. I might have to do this a second time. We'll do a second pass and see if that does any better. I don't like changing the power during a burn because that is very obvious when you do that on the burn itself. I'd be better off just doing it a second time as long as nothing moves. Well, I can't do that because I used an arbitrary origin and this won't go back to that same spot when it's done. Therefore, I'm going to have to live with it. It's readable. That's funny. It's showing up better on camera than it does in real life, which tells me it may be actually better than I'm thinking it is. This is the hardest part of the whole process, is just sitting here and waiting for it to get done. It's long enough where it's not going to be real quick, but I don't want to walk away, and it's short enough. I said that backwards. It's short enough where I don't want to just walk away and go do something else, because then I'll forget it. And it's long enough that I feel like I need to be doing something else. Hey, it did go back to the origin. You know what that means? That means I can run it a second time. What are the odds that that really did what I think it did? I'm a gambling kind of guy. Let's go ahead and run it again. We'll keep it at the same settings, same power, and we'll just do a second burn on it. Oh, fingers crossed that I'm not screwing this up. Okay, that's lined up, so it's doing a second burn. Doesn't look like it's doing much different. I'm hoping that that means that what's residues that's on there is literally residue, and when I clean this off, that it'll clean up nicely. There we have it. 2 passes, and I bet you that second pass really didn't do anything. I'm hoping that this will clean up nicely. I'm going to go take it to the sink. I might use a little SOS pad, steel wool kind of thing, or just a Scotch-Brite probably. See how that cleans off. And then I will get it back on camera and we can take a look at it. Be right back. It didn't turn out exactly like what I was hoping it would. All in all, it turned out really nicely. This will be nice. Something I can, again, show off to my Buck Frenzy pals. Make them jealous that they don't have lasers. Or that just means they're going to ask to come over and have their knives etched. Which would be fine. That'd be a fun thing to do. So, a good experiment. The kind of thing that you need to do. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet, try some settings, and see what works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. This isn't exactly what I was expecting. I like how it turned out. I'm happy with this. Hope you enjoyed this little extra bonus part of the video. And as I said before, experiment and enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.